quick video on people that always say what is good for paintball and what is bad for paintball. Okay, I've played paintball since 1988. I've seen a lot of different trends. I've seen it's crazy how the sport has evolved. But you always see this like in the forums. That's not good for the sport. That's not good for the sport. That's not good for the sport. They have no clue what is good and what isn't good for the sport. Okay. I would hope that the fact that I've played it for almost 30 years would make me somewhat of an expert of what I think is good for the sport, or at least a credible source of what is good for the sport and what isn't good for the sport. Okay. A lot of people think that, things like vandalism, does that negatively affect paintball? No, I don't think. If somebody takes a paintball gun that they bought at, Dick's Sporting Goods and goes and shoots up a building, does that reflect negatively upon paintball? No. Most adults out there are smart enough to realize that vandalism, regardless of what it is, whether they're throwing a rock or they're hitting, the mailboxes with a baseball bat, which doesn't, make anybody frown upon baseball, but most people are smart enough to realize that when vandalism happens with paintball guns, that it's not a reflection on the industry. It's a reflection on the individual. It's an asshole that wanted to go out and, damage somebody's property, and they chose that. It has nothing to do with the active participating members in it. What about these movie scenes that everybody flips out over? Okay, these movie scenes where I saw him lift a mask. We have to all email the producer and tell him they did it. That does not negatively affect the sport at all. Okay, if anything, it actually kind of helps it. Okay, when you get out there, people realize that movies are not a true depiction of what's going on. Okay, what really takes place out there. And in all the fields I've ever been to, have always done a great job of having safety briefings and stuff like that. So no one's going to, go out and play a tournament and lift their mask like Sarah Jessica Parker. It's not going to happen. Okay. So is that good or bad for the sport? Well, a movie scene, even if it's shown in an unsafe way, it's not an influence. It's not necessarily an influence. If anything, it's good. Because at least it shows that paintball is kind of fun enough for people to enjoy, and they took the time to put it in the movie. What about bikini girls in the booths? This was a huge thing in the mid-2000s, okay? When all the younger players started coming in and all the soccer moms and stuff like that, Billy's mom, Joey's mom, stuff like that, started coming in and demanding that we have no more calendar girls and no more models and no more booth babes in paintball whatsoever. Was that good or bad? That was actually bad, okay? The reason why is, one, it showed us that we're a bunch of prudes, and two, it basically showed that we are incapable as mature adults to look at a beautiful woman who's representing a product, who takes care of herself, who takes care of her body, who works out and handles her nutrition and puts on a very specific aesthetic look to promote a product and stimulate a response, which is, wow, she's gorgeous. Okay, what is she doing over there? Okay, but you mean to tell me that we shoot paintball guns at each other at a football field a second, 300 feet per second, and we use compressed air tanks that fill up to 4,500 PSI, which is 1,000 times more, 100 times more than what a carb tire is, 4,500 PSI, but but we can't handle walking by a beautiful woman that's handing out flyers or a beautiful woman that's representing a brand. What the hell? No. Okay, that's actually good for the sport. Having booth babes and models is actually good for the sport, okay? What is bad for the sport? The worst thing that I've seen in paintball, the absolute worst thing that is truly the most devastating thing in paintball, that on a scale of 1 to 10, this is a 10 and everything else is a 2, is telling a player, a mature or an older player, that he is too old to play. That by far, doing that to just one player, okay, and running him off because of his age does more harm to paintball than anything else. It does more harm to paintball than any news broadcast. It does more harm to paintball than any movie that's been out there that showed an unsafe scene or something like that. It does. Running off that one dedicated player and telling him that he's too old for paintball by far does more damage to paintball than anything else combined. Why is that? Okay, why is that true? Because you got somebody who started playing paintball. Let's say they started playing paintball when they were in high school, 16, 17 years old. So let's say they started playing, 10, 15 years ago, okay? and they play, they worked hard in high school and they bought their own gear. Their parents helped them out or whatever. So their parents introduced them and supported them and got them into the sport. They played in college when they could. They graduated college. They got a good, a job that paid them decently so that they could pay. And they're taking a small portion of their disposable income and they're using paintball to go out and have fun on the weekends. Okay. So as they get older, maybe they get married, they have kids. Now they're 33, 34 years old. They're investing $1,000 to $3,000 a year in the paintball industry. And they're dedicated to it. They've done it through high school. They've done it through college. They've done it through graduating college. They've done it after getting married. They've done it after they've had kids. And they've proven to us as an industry that they are in this sport committed to have fun and invest money into paintball year after year after year after year. They're buying gear, they're buying paint, they're buying entry, they're supporting the paint companies, they're supporting the manufacturers, they're supporting the local fields, and they're taking their disposable income and they're paying it into our industry. They're paying it into the industry, right? And some fucking idiot, some 16-year-old fucking idiot that just gets into paintball maybe a month ago, walks up to that person and tells them they're too old to play. Okay, so now what happens if the person decides, you know what, you're right. I'm going to go take my $2,000 a year and I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to go do Tough Mudders. I'm going to do 5K beer runs. I'm going to get into CrossFit, or I'm going to get into mountain biking, or I'm going to get into skydiving, or I'm going to get into four-wheel racing or dirt bike racing, or I'm going to go buy a Harley and I'm going to go and take my money that I was putting into paintball, go buy a Harley or a motorcycle and be in motorcycle clubs and have fun with them, or I'm going to go buy and do a car restoration on the weekends as opposed to playing paintball. Okay, you've run that one player off, okay, who probably could have been in here for another 10 or 15 years. Go to your local mall and look around at the hundreds of people that are walking around you and tell me, who in the mall can you replace that one player that you just ran out of paintball? You know how many hundreds upon hundreds, if not thousands of people that play paintball and never come back, and they play it once on a birthday party and they never come back. And you had that one dedicated player who as he matured and got older, as she matured and got older, played it, invested money in it, was constantly pouring disposable income into our sport, and you ran them off with your comments. That is the most devastating thing I've ever seen in paintball. It is nothing else registers anywhere close to that being truly bad for the sport. If you want to attack what's bad for the sport, attack the people who are attacking the players who've chosen paintball as their outlet for stress relief, for exercise, for fun on the weekends, and they're trying to run those dedicated players off. That is one of the biggest things I've seen that has taken place in paintball probably over the past 5 to 6 years, maybe even longer, probably since the mid-2000s, with the birth of PB Nation, was that this whole thing that once you get a driver's license, you're too old to play paintball. That's a death sentence to any industry. Everybody is going to age. I mean, age is a privilege not given to everyone. Everybody is going to age. And as a matter of fact, when paintball was truly growing was when the boxes were all stamped 18 and over. So, that was when paintball was growing, was when they didn't want kids in it. Now we have kids in it, and the kids don't want the adults in it. Well, if you run out the adults, then it's no fun to play once you become an adult. And that's going to happen, okay? You're going to be 16 today. You're going to be graduating college at the age of 23 like that. And so, maturing and getting older is a privilege. So if you're going to run people out that are, that are maturing and it blows my fucking mind. You want to do something to help paintball grow. It has nothing to do about the X Games. It has nothing to do with getting into the Olympics, okay? It has to do with keeping your customers here. It's easier to keep a customer than it is to replace it. So if you've got somebody here, it doesn't matter if they're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, don't make comments to them that make them feel unwelcome to paintball, and they're going to take, so that they go take their money and put it somewhere else. You're not going to be able to replace them. So I see this sometimes. You're getting too old, this, that, and the other. No, there is no age limit in paintball. When I first started playing in the 88, when paintball was actually on ESPN, there were no kids playing it. So get that right. There was nobody under the age of 20 that was playing paintball when paintball was actually on ESPN. Okay, they were all adults. So the fact that they're trying, the kids are now trying to run the adults out, that's a death sentence to the industry. So that's my 10-minute rant on it. Enjoy.